So I was discussing about forms yesterday. So forms is, just to recap, forms is a way of letting the users enter some information. Earlier, in earlier cases, what we have gone through is mostly, way of actually displaying some information. It can be a paragraph or can be bold, or you were able to show pictures, but most of this is static. So no one can actually interact with with the page back in the time. Forms is a way of making sure that a person is able to actually communicate with us. I've also shown you a few examples where Google, for example, Google, the home page, whatever you see here is also a form. And also, you can look at many examples, like even for Facebook. Initially, when you try to enter the page, you have a form and you can try to log in. Or even for signing up, they have another form. So we did go through few different form elements yesterday. So one of them is text box, and then you have one for password, one for entering comments, and one for a radio button, like in case if you only want to enable one of the options. So there are different form elements, and we did go through how we can submit a form and what are all the different parameters which we need in a form. So far, whatever I did teach you guys, these are really basic for HTML, but these are important concepts to understand, at least to begin HTML. So even today, I will be going through some more fundamental concepts, but these can be used. These are really helpful for you later on. So one of the other key tags which is frequently used in HTML is a iframe. Okay. So what is like an iframe? For example, if you try to go to, if you go to YouTube, right, and found something interesting for the recipe, and let's say I did like this one, how to make chai. And I want to include this one in our web page. And in order to do that, iframes is a way. Iframes enable us to include any external web pages, or in this case, it would just show us a video. So once you click on share, you see it says share, and the first option is embed. So embed is basically saying if you want to include this in your web page, and they also have a code sample down here saying this is what you want to put in your web page. So I would simply copy that and can paste it here. Okay. Once I do that, let me go back to our page. And once you refresh it, and you can see here our YouTube video. So I can simply specify another. So if you look at blogs of most people who also have a YouTube channel, what they do is the same thing. They would try to create a YouTube video. They would create a YouTube video. Once they do that, they would say this is what they would also have a blog, and they would say this is where you can actually see the recipe for even Wash Chef and those guys. If you look at their web pages, you would actually see some videos. Some of them actually use just a YouTube videos. They would use the iframe, so you can actually view it there. So then I would say simply chai making recipe, and I can view that. So iframes is not only just for viewing videos or including YouTube videos. You can also include your own web pages in here. For example, if I want to I've written another HTML page before called t1.html. In some cases, I want to share one particular HTML page across multiple pages. In that case, I can still use an iframe. So it's the same concept. Forgot to mention. If you see here, it's a source, right? Whatever source is here, that is what it's included. It says youtube.com/embed, and it gave us a link. And usually that is what I would also specify. And there are different parameters down here, which are automatically given by the YouTube share link. It says I can allow full screen, and I don't want any border. And it also specifies what is the height and width you would want to include. If I want to increase this, I can increase this. That would automatically increase that. So in order to include another frame, I can another web page, I can do the same thing using an iframe. So in order to do that, I would simply say iframe. And what I have to do is specify the source. In this case, src is an attribute for the iframe, which basically says this is where I have to look for, or this is what web page I'm including. And I will simply put that source down here. And in case I want to also include width and height, I can also specify that. If I don't specify it, it would basically assume this is how it basically assume however big this web page is. So it tries to fit that in our own web page. So it's like a web page within a web page. That is what it does. And once I refresh it, you can see the other page is embedded in here. It basically has one new C recipe and another link which specifies our first application. So if I click on here again, it will show our own web page. Anyway, do you guys have any questions regarding iframes? Is this clear?
Good.
Okay. And so far we have okay. Another thing I want to mention is another important tag which is used no matter what the web page is. There are so many web pages, and this is one of the most common tags which is used across, and it is called a div. Okay. So what is div, right? Div stands for division, and basically what this does is it groups couple different tags together. So I can say div, and I can simply say this is a paragraph, this is a paragraph, and I'm grouping them together in this one. Right now, you cannot actually see any difference within the web page. The web page, what we have currently, see, it says chai is one of the most fun drinks, which is down here, and this one. If I refresh the web page, you don't see any change right now. Division just groups it together, but there are many users. For example, earlier I've told you that within the head, we would only have title. And I also mentioned that there are a few other things. I'll probably go through that later. So one of the other tags which you can actually use a style tag. Okay. Style tag, by the name of it, it basically says what it is. It is used for styling our web page. I would go in detail about style tag and how can we use CSS later on. But for now, just think this is what we use for styling web pages. And I would also mention how about the syntax, what I'm trying to use down here later. But once, probably on Monday once we start CSS, but just remember I'm doing this. So background, I want that to be red, okay? And in order to use any of the style elements, there is another attribute. And this attribute, earlier I've shown you this attribute ID, which is for identification. It should be unique for each element, and most of the tags, and I would say all of the tags actually has this ID tag, ID attribute. Similar to ID, there is another universal attribute which can be used. It's called class. Okay, and class basically says whatever style I'm trying to use. Down here, I'm trying to use red, so I would just copy. I would use that down here. So class is used to refer whatever we have in the style. So this one links us back to down here. So style is used for styling HTML pages. And one way of using it, using the styles, is using the class attribute. And I just specify whatever class I have. Again, once I explain you about CSS, these things would be more clear. But right now, I'm just saying this is how I define a class, and I can use this here. So if I want to, make background for these two, right? One way of doing it is I would just include that for both of these paragraphs. Okay, I would say I have to specify 2 times if that is what I want to do. Let me go back here, and you can see both of them are red. Okay, but using this, I don't actually have to do it for individual tags down here. I can just specify this one thing down in the division. Once I do that, it would apply across whatever is between these 2 tags, start and end tags of the division. So that is the advantage of having a division. So it basically applies. So now I say this and I refresh it, and you can see it is applied across both this individual tags or paragraphs down here. So that is what division is for. I can, and you can also check it if I, no matter where I go, you see it's all divided using divisions. So division is one of the most commonly used, and they use it for a purpose. That is to, divide them among groups. So for example, if I select that, and let's say this, this entire thing can be a part of one particular division. Or if I select this one, you can see that the top map, this complete thing, is within one div. But then again, there you can have division within another division. So I can have this, let's say across here, but let's say, let's see, only these ones should be bold. So I can create another division. Okay. So all of these are red now, but I just want to make sure only these are bold. So I can say style equal to font weight, and I will simply specify it to be bold. So all of these elements down here, everything is red, but I just want a specific style for these ones. So that is what I did here. Again, I don't have to actually specify style here. I can create another one down here, another class down here, and refer to that using a class. So that is how they're tied up. And once I try to refresh it, you can see these things are in red, but not bold, but these are in bold. So depending on what do you want to do for a particular set of tags, you can actually group them into different divisions, and you can have multiple divisions within another division. Is this clear? Do you guys have any questions regarding, divisions or class or styles? Okay. So if I want to mention another class, I would simply put bold. And if I want to make this one cleaner, so I would simply say font weight for the bold. And instead of saying style equal to so and so down here, say class equal to bold. So as simple as can be, and should be the same. So as I'm mentioning, the things which I can actually have in head, one of them is title, another one is style. There are a few things you can actually have in head of a HTML page. There is another thing called link. Okay, link basically can be used once I start using CSS. It would make more sense, but link basically tells if I want to get something from a different file, I would use link. That is all you have to remember for now. If I want to use some information I have in a different file, I would use link. But how would I use it, and how would I use it for CSS is what I would do in the next class on Monday. Another thing which is really helpful for example, the Google or Bing or any other search tools, what they do is search for a web page, right? Within a web page, it tries to figure out what are all the things it has. And if I search for, let's say, Bluetooth speaker, how does it actually do it? Right? Like it is bringing me a list of things down here. It says Amazon has all of those, and it has its own ads. One of the ways it does is using search engine optimization tags. Okay. So basically, you can actually specify within your web page, this is what your web page is. And that is how the search engine can try to use the crawlers and figure out this is what your page is. And to do that, you have a tag called meta. And meta tag is what the search engines can actually use to understand your web page better. Instead of actually going through all the web page and trying to read each and everything, they can just read, look at the meta, say, okay, this is what the web page is for, and actually understand your web page better. And this is a useful tool if you're trying to build your own web pages and specify what it actually contains. For example, I can say description of this web page. And one of the attributes for meta is name, okay, and the content, okay. So name tells what type of information I have. So right now I'm saying the description of the web page, and the content is, let's say, I'm saying chai, okay. Can say chai tea from India. This is what I have within this web page. So if someone searches for chai tea from India, there are good chances of your web page being hit if you actually specify the meta tags properly. This is one of the ways. I'm not saying this is the only way of doing search engine optimization, but one of the things is using meta tags. Another meta tags, I mean, all of these are meta tags, but the name and description, name and content can change. So I can say simply, whenever a person is searching for these keywords, okay, and I would say tea, right, chai, or Indian tea, or I can put many other things down here, ginger tea or ilachi tea. so on and so forth. As many as keywords I have, it's, it could be better. So the meta tag is basically, again, for search engine optimization. And I also can mention the author of this web page. You can say content. So if someone is searching author, they put author and so person, and it can use this information down here in the content. So is this clear? Do you guys have any questions regarding any of these? Okay, cool. Sorry, someone has a question. Okay.
Anvesh, can you repeat it once? The meta tag.
Okay. So meta tag basically tells the search engine or anyone looking at it, it tells what the web page is. Okay. So right now, down here, I have meta, I have name, description. So description of this web page is, it says chai tea from India. So it doesn't actually affect how your web page looks, but so right now, this is how I have it. If I refresh it, you don't see any change down here. The main use of meta tag is it just tells someone else, like for example, a search engine, what your web page is. So if someone searches, I put down here the name as keywords, and it would, if it's looking for keywords, it would, your page says, I have, these are the keywords for the page. So if someone tries to type in for tea, chai, or Indian tea, or ginger tea, or elaichi tea, your web page can be selected from that, saying, okay, this web page has information about these things. So there is a better chance of the search engine picking up your web page. So meta is not to change any look or feel of a web page, but it's for external search engine tools to understand your web page better. So if I'm going to Google now, and if I try to, and let's say your web page is already published, and if someone tries to see for search for chai tea from India, okay. So since I have tea, chai, Indian tea, or I can also add India, right? Now, what it does is it separates each thing, okay, and tries to use these three keywords in different web pages, okay. That is what it does. It uses a web crawler, tries to look for keywords within the web page, and once it tries to look down here, okay, what are the keywords? It says tea, chai, and India, okay. There are better chances of the search engine picking up your web page. That is what the meta tag is for. That is all it does. It helps someone else, like a machine, to better understand your web page. It has nothing to do how the web page actually looks. So this web page would look the same no matter whatever meta tags you have here. And depending on what do you want to display, like I want to tell this is a description of the web page, or these are the keywords I'm trying to use in the web page, or the author. You can have many other meta tags with different name and content, right? I can say, let's say I want to specify the location of this one. You know what I'm saying? And in content, I would say where the location is. Let's say I'm saying this is from Atlanta. So that is what the meta tag is for. Is that clear? Or
It's clear, Anvesh. Thank you.
okay, cool. Thanks for asking. So this is all I have. These are all the basic HTML tags. And again, there are plenty of other tags which you can actually find if you try, and depending on your project, whatever you are working, these may change, but whatever tags you're using may change, but these are basically fundamental basic tags. And as I mentioned to you, this is one of the most popular used. It can help you to group things together. That is what it does. And as you can see, I've used, in order to highlight all of these in red, I've grouped these together. And in order to just have all of these in bold, I've grouped these together within this div tag. And another thing I mentioned to you is style, tag, and meta, and iframes. Iframes is another thing which you can commonly see. Even big companies would actually use, not just to show YouTube videos, but from trying to embed content from a different web page onto my page. This is what I would use iframe for. And these are all basic HTML tags. And the question I have for you guys is, or if you guys haven't started on your assignment, I would say just start it before next class we have on Monday. I'm only saying this is because once you actually have a basic, if you look at the current web page I have here, it looks really basic, right? It doesn't look anything as modern web page. It looks pretty basic. So once I start teaching you guys about CSS and Bootstrap, you would understand why are we actually using those things. So in order to understand those concepts better, I would advise you, it can be anything simple. Again, even look at this web page, it doesn't have much information. So all basic paragraphs, some bold tags, some tables down here, pictures, and some iframes. But I can also make this web page look better using CSS and Bootstrap. If I can use them, really good. So I would advise you guys to finish it before next Monday, before our class. So if you can do that, once I start teaching about CSS and Bootstrap, those concepts would be, you can understand those better. So that is all I have. Do you guys have any other questions? Another thing I want to mention is if you have any questions, any other questions, or if you need help with your assignments, it would be available on Saturday between 3 and 5. So you guys can ping me and I will be able to help you guys if you have any troubles. But I'm sure you guys can do it easily. But in case if you have any issues, if you don't understand any concept better, you can just ping me and I will be available for you guys. So is that clear? Any questions?
Anvesh, what are the most important tags that we have to learn, or do we have to learn all of those?
Right now, just try to understand what these are. Like, I wouldn't say that there are important tags or unimportant tags. Depending on your project, it can vary.
Okay.
And I can say for sure, I've used most of the tags in just one project, not even on multiple projects. But if you can understand, like for example, order list or list items, and or image, these can be pretty helpful when you're designing your own web page or you're working for a company. But again, I wouldn't say these tags are important. These are not, but they're depending on your project, it would vary. I would say for sure, div is one of the most used ones. Another thing is tables. tables are used many places. Another one is form. Form is really important. No matter what project you do, there is a good chance that you would use a form, probably multiple forms, but that is another important thing you have to understand. And because whenever you create a web page, you are not just creating it to show some information, but also to gather information from the user. That is what the form is helpful for. So I would say forms, tables, and divs are most commonly what I've encountered, and also sometimes iframes.
Okay. Thanks,
Yeah.
Ramesh.
Yeah, thank you. So any other questions? Okay. Going for once, going for twice, going for thrice. Okay. Thanks, guys, for attending the class. I'm recording this class and I would be sharing it to you guys on YouTube again. And I'll talk to you guys on Monday at 6:30. And we'll have the classes on a long format, 1.5 hours. Okay. Okay. Good night, guys. Bye.
Good night.
Good night. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.